Hello there, everyone. Welcome back to Alpha Tauri. We're about to continue Tsunoda's perfect run. Hope you've enjoyed this so far. It's been quite fun for me too. Apologies for sounding probably a bit tired, probably a bit annoyed potentially the last couple of videos. It's been a bit stressful with the hard drive situation. It's mostly been resolved now. I think I'm back up to scratch. I think I found the correct settings for the voice and audio. But if you feel like there's any issues with it, please go ahead and let me know, because honestly, as I said, I probably do judge my own voice, my own audio a little bit too hard. So what might actually be good, I might find to be bad. Please just give me a short feedback on it, and we'll get into the, today's episode here with Alpha Tauri. We're about to start Belgium. We're about halfway through the season, and we can potentially here, if we have basically a flawless season, breach the 1k barrier, and we'll see exactly if Tsunoda can keep this perfect run of his going, and what happens with the Red Bull versus Ferrari fight. So we do have some things ahead of us here, honestly. Looking forward to it. We'll see how this plays out in its entirety, I guess we should say. Now, sponsors VIP experience. Random event where you get 3 times payouts for successful sponsor guarantees. You get 2 times penalties for unmet sponsor guarantees. We'll of course approve of that. No reason not to at this stage. Revving manufactured complete. Very good. And we'll go ahead and set up our race prep here for this race weekend. So I don't think we'll be finishing this one. No, still need 3 race weekends. We can go for fastest lap, and we're going to go here and say that we're going to be qualifying. Well, honestly, I think we'll just say both drivers top 10. Just be a little bit on the safe side here in case we end up getting blocked again. We're still getting 3 times paid out, so while taking a risk would probably be the, beneficial here. Yeah, let's go with it. Or honestly, we don't need to. Let's just do top 10. We have 44 million in the bank. We're not really lacking for money, so we can actually do it a little bit more, safely. Play the odds a little bit more in our favor. Now, currently, our car is still very, very good. It's the best car in anything but dirty air, brake cooling, and engine cooling, which means that, there shouldn't be anyone who can really be a problem for us. There's no real challenges at this point. So, unless Tsunoda crashes, he should be able to keep his perfect streak going. We do have a sprint weekend, though, which could make things a little bit interesting. And next season, we are going to be promoting Contreras. Needs a bit of smoothness, needs a bit of braking. And do you know what we're going to do? We're just going to have a quick look at the Ute talents and see what else we can. Solov here, highest rated 18-year-old. Then we have a couple of 19-year-olds here. But generally, most of them are, as you can see, slightly older, which makes it a little bit more difficult to, develop these talents. But we might, as I said, pick up Fleush as second driver, because next year, the AI, with how they do research, we should have a car that is actually potentially dominant enough that we can do a, double female lineup and still have fairly good result. Minna, 56. But I think we'll have a look at this once we get to the end of this season, and then we'll discuss contracts. I think that is going to be the play here. But Fleush, 61. Not too shabby, but again, fairly decent averages, lacking cornering, going to be slow due to that. But I think it would be fun just to try for a season and see how that, plays out for us. Let's go to Belgium, though, and see how we perform. Pretty bad qualifying this time around. We got immensely held up with both cars, really, on the final run here. As you can see, 39.4s. We had that in Q2 with 6 tenths slower on fresher tires, mind you, because we used the same tires for Q2 as we did for Q1. And, well, we got completely held up here. And unfortunately for Lawson, he is just a couple of tenths off second place. But as you can see, we're going to have probably not a good race here with the sprint, because we're going to have to do a lot of overtaking to keep this perfect run going. And that is going to be probably a tad difficult. In terms of performance here, the softs are 4 tenths quicker than the mediums. The mediums are about 4 tenths quicker than the hards. Well, the softs are actually just a little over 3 tenths quicker than the mediums. And basically 10 laps advantage for the softs. For the medium to hard, it's going to be a 20 lap advantage. So, if we can, we probably want to for the sprint itself, do medium. I think that is going to be the play here. And we do start in kind of a worrisome position because, well, we start further down the track. There's more chance of getting, you know, taken out by the opposition, if you will. So we'll see what exactly we do there if we manage to pull through. For now, though, we're going to simulate practice 2. And with that, we should be ready now for the race itself. And hopefully, we'll still be able to get a somewhat good result. Both of them are just barely into the high confidence to start with. So, yeah. Hopefully we have a decent start here, because having a bad start could definitely hamper us. But again, our car is the best. There's just no way around it. So, medium here should be viable. Soft, is that too viable? Just about. But as you can see, a medium is potentially quicker. So we're going to put the medium tire on for both cars, go full on attack, and that will help here in terms of getting things done. Now, because of the fact that it is Belgium, safety cars, things like that could very well, you know, put us in a position where we can't get the overtakes done. So we do need to keep that too in mind. But I still think that we have a decent chance there of keeping the streak going. So now that it's going to be starting pretty far back. But we can once again have Lawson kind of play that ultimate teammate game, where he will be kind of, you know, required to hold up the cars behind. He probably will not have much of a choice there in terms of making, you know, doing that. It might just be a necessary sacrifice, if you will.
15 long. Here we are, the sprint around Spa-Francorchamps.
So both Red Bulls on soft tires here. Everyone else except for us on soft tires, so we should have a little bit of an advantage towards the end. That's going to be the idea, at least.
You can use overtake.
Lawson and Tsunoda both keep their positions. Well, Tsunoda's actually falling down a little bit here, but he is fighting for his place. Could actually drag race the Mercer, I think, to the line if we're lucky. Nope. Instead, the Alpine is going to be given a chance to attack. Ocon ran wide. Okay, he's down in 16th. That's what the effect does. But at least we had a clean start. Bit unfortunate we couldn't actually jump anyone during, you know, the starting procedure. But I still think that we'll take this with us. And again, try and make something happen. It's 15 laps to sprint, so yeah, it's going to be a little bit of a difficult adventure. We're going to have to take and overtake a lap. So, well, not really each lap, but you get what I see. You get what I mean here. For the first 2-3 laps, overtakes are basically going to be a non-option because everyone is pushing maximum. We don't have DRS, so overtakes are going to have to happen a little bit further down the line. There we go. We have DRS now, and that could make it a little bit easier. But even then, it's still one big DRS train. Piastri has kind of fallen off though, but I think he still has DRS there, as you can see. So that does again make it very, very difficult to get anything done this early on in the race. Although Lawson here is getting very, very close to potentially attacking. We're going to keep them a medium for now. Once we get an overtake or two done, we're probably going to push them up too hard. But yeah, right now we are going to be playing a little bit more careful, although Tsunoda does get the move done there on Magnussen. Next up is going to be Piastri. And potentially here we're going to have DRS on the straight to help us with that. Let's see if we can actually get the move done right here, right now. It doesn't look like we'll have enough speed. Or maybe into the corner. But we should be getting this done on the main straight now. Well, the long straight, if you will. No problem at all, I think. Lawson is up into 5th here. He is also fighting the Sainz for the next position gain. So they're both doing well. Tsunoda now. Next up will be Gasly. So yeah, we're doing good, let's say. Working our way upwards, getting the confidence up to, you know, the levels where we are, comfortable with tuning them to high aggression. Basically, it's a bit of a risk doing so, but I think it's fine here. Tsunoda gets Gasly. Now it's Lawson's turn, basically. We'll be tuning them down to neutral on the energy usage at this point. And 4 laps in. Looking good. Yellow flag there. Giovinazzi. I was a little bit concerned that it might have been Tsunoda. But luckily, it looks like we are fine. Tire-wise, these don't overheat until 130 degrees, so we still have quite a lot to go on. Degradation-wise, we're looking good. Tsunoda even having less degradation than expected. So, it's still looking good, although Lawson here is actually getting left kind of behind. So what I'm thinking is that we just give him, potentially here now, the step don't fight teammate command. Because Tsunoda is clearly quicker. So let's see now if we can have him quietly let Tsunoda by. And we'll also tune him down now to just low overtake aggression while he's running behind. Although he did lose a little bit too much time on letting him by. But it is looking promising now. Tsunoda is getting ready for basically another attack. Been recharging a little bit. I think the same goes for Lawson. And could potentially have tried to launch it into the corner there, although that would probably have been ill-advised. But it does get the overtake done now. And is just flying. I think Lawson 2 now will be ready to do some overtaking as well. So, while we start further down, it's not actually a big problem for us. Because of the fact that, well, we can run a more aggressive strategy than the AI, for one. But what I'm thinking now is that we're going to gamble everything on Tsunoda pushing into this main straight, if you will. Well, the big straight. And if he can get the Aston Martin, like he does there, that should make getting the Red Bulls later on a little bit easier. Now, for Lawson, we've actually had a multiple cars crash incident. We're just going to deploy for now. De Vries and a Haas, so either Behrman or who's it, Schumacher. Just a slight touch, no one in the wall. I think, unless they completely destroyed the suspension, they both should still be going. Yeah, it's De Vries and Schumacher.
You've got everything, press on hold available.
Copy.
Wasn't that a Haas, or am I blind? Oh yeah, De Vries is in the Haas. Schumacher's in the Alfa Romeo. It is just me not thinking. Okay, Lawson is pushing. I think Tsunoda we can deploy now and just try and get something, you know, done. I think that is a viable option. Although the Red Bulls are running, you know, defend mode right now. They're running side by side, blocking us off, making any attack kind of, you know, treacherous. Although did pull that off somewhat. Might even go for a double send here. But yeah, this should be Tsunoda now basically getting that other Red Bull and then pulling clear. I would think, and as you can see, that's exactly what's happening. We're just going to keep everything still on full push. Mainly just so that we can have Tsunoda try and get away. Create that 1 second gap, which will make our lives a lot easier. And then we'll start working on getting Lawson up into second, which honestly shouldn't be too much of a concern. I don't think it's going to be that difficult. He too should, once he just regain some of his energy, have no problem flying by these guys. The main concern is that it's going to be an issue about how many laps we have left here. So we're probably going to be harvesting now for a little bit here. Trying to regain as much energy as possible. And then work out from there. But at the same time, can't really allow ourselves to be left behind. So it's a bit of a delicate situation there. For now, I think I'm going to just keep on, as I said, working and getting him back up to the front. And we'll see where we're at once we get towards the end of this race. We've had a lockup from Tsunoda. He basically ruins any chance he had of the perfect season.
This one is involving Yuki Tsunoda.
Unfortunately.
Right here. The wheels just lock up there. By that point, it was...
But again, this is kind of slow recovery here. He should have just spun it around and immediately got back on it. 3 laps to go now. This is going to be incredibly difficult, honestly. I don't think it's possible, let's be honest. Science has crashed, so if we even get a safety car now, that's going to be worse. Ran wide there. He's still driving, so he just slid wide into the wall.
Okay, tires are hot.
But yeah, unfortunately, sprint-wise, not going to be a perfect season. We can still go for, you know, a race-perfect season. But that is a bit unfortunate that with that lockup. It just ruins any chance of perfection, as one might say. Science is pitting because basically he doesn't have a choice at this point. Unless both Red Bulls somehow crash out, I don't think we're going to be seeing anything, you know, particularly great from our team either, in all honesty. Sonoda does have a little bit of energy that we can use to try and, you know, get him up into the points at least. So, not completely out of it yet, but at the same time, we basically are. There's no real chance of a fight back here. Two laps to go. As I said, we might be able to catch Norris. Lawson is doing amazing out front there. Just leaving him to his own devices now because he is in that DRS zone. So I'm thinking that we just go full deploy now at this stage. And either he's going to get the overtake done into the first corner, or he's going to get the overtake now done once he gets to the main straight. Well, I call the main straight the long straight. I can't actually remember the name, but you all understand what I mean. Lawson gets the move done, putting him back into lead. Tsunoda is up into 8th. Next up is going to be Russell Gasly. But yeah, it is a bit unfortunate that he had the lockup at that corner, because if it had it anywhere else, then he'd still been with a chance because of the lead he had. But yeah, it is what it is. Unfortunately, recovery was slow. Didn't help out in any way, shape or form. He's still getting moves done though, let's be honest, for the race itself. But Lawson pulls off a victory here. Tsunoda 7th. And that is a bit unfortunate end to our perfect season dream. Leclerc, Verstappen, 2nd and 3rd. Then we have Stroll, Magnussen, Russell, Gasly, Norris, and Piastri. Well, these two doesn't get points though, so Gasly last point scorer. But again, it's not really, can't really do anything about it, honestly, at this point. It's what it is. What it is. Sometimes you can have good luck. Sometimes, you know, things just go wrong. In terms of the strategy here, I think what we're gonna do is start Tsunoda on soft tires. Gonna go very aggressive medium stint here, and probably add in another very aggressive medium stint. I think that this is gonna be the quickest way we can do the strategy. Probably get on the mediums potentially a little bit earlier. And I think that is the best option that we have. It's going to be about half a minute quicker than these two, at least. The other strategy that we could do is, of course, you know, a one-stopper. And it's potentially quicker. As you can see here. It is potentially the quickest strategy, just stopping once with the medium to hard tires. But this, of course, does put us in a bit of a precarious position with the fastest lap. So what I'm thinking here is that we're just going to do this strategy. It's going to be a little bit, you know, awkward because of the way we're starting. But we're still going to try and keep on seeing how many points we can give to get Tsunoda over the course of the season. I think that's still going to be the goal. This one is still going to be quicker. So what I'm thinking is that we're going to put Lawson on that alternate strategy where we do this. And I think that should be an acceptable strategy split. Tsunoda, Lawson just needs to run out front, do his thing, kind of get a bit of a gap. Again, we'll have to see exactly how we do it in terms of, you know, granting, quote-unquote, Tsunoda the win. But at this stage, the record is already broken. We can't have a perfect season, at least not, as, you know, with the sprints. But I'll think a little bit about it during the race, and we'll see what we do in terms of maybe trying to go for a perfect season in terms of races. We have lost some pole positions, I know, so it isn't a perfect season already, but you get the idea. I want to see how many points we can potentially end up getting Tsunoda during this season. With that in mind, though, we are set up, and I think we are ready now for the race itself. So let's jump in and see if we can make up for that sprint error.
You can hear the excitement in the crowd here at the Belgian Grand Prix. And it's lights out, and away we go.
One click overtake available.
Okay.
It's not it's good.
Looks like we held on to our positions there at the start. I did check there when I said defend the racing line if I'd put him on the wrong orders, but I hadn't, so we're good there. Lawson held on to his lead pretty easily there, pretty stable. As you can see, it's basically just medium and soft tires for the entire grid. Except for Gasly and Piastri, the rest are using, well, Gio as well. Yeah, science. So many people lower down using old softs. That's a bit concerning. But yeah, some of them are older soft, many of them are mediums, so I think we'll be seeing a lot of cars doing kind of the same thing we are. We're going to be doing the same thing that we did in the sprint here with Tsunoda trying to, of course, get up their ranks, so to speak, as quickly as possible. And I don't think he's going to have any, you know, more struggles than he did during the sprint, but we'll see. First lap here went well. No issues, no incidents. Russell here is kind of falling behind though. So if he keeps on falling behind like this, that should make that first overtake a lot easier now. Because again, the first overtake is going to be virtually, you know, after Eau Rouge on the first chance that we're getting here, I would think, unless Russell really pulls a magic card out of the hat right now and regains that little bit of a gap, and he kind of did. So I don't think we're not going to be able to get the attack done because it did actually close down the gap. Lawson has also been overtaken due to, again, DRS, but now that the rest of the field are going to be tuning down the cars, we should have no problems, you know, overtaking for one, and just kind of putting ourselves back into that decent position, so to speak. Tsunoda has also gotten his move done. So we're going to be working both of them upwards, and we'll see where we're at once we get to that first pit stop. So Tsunoda wasn't done with his shenanigans, as you can see. He locked up again, and once again he decides to just stay parked. Apparently it didn't work on the recovery here at Spa, I think. But yeah, Tsunoda definitely not having a good weekend. Lawson is still doing good though. He is almost a second out ahead of cars in front.
Keep pushing.
But yeah, this is gonna make Tsunoda's life a lot harder, of course. But we'll still try and make the best out of it. We still have a lot of time to do it. We could still have a safety car that changes things up a bit. But for now, we're gonna have to first and foremost regain Tsunoda's confidence. That's gonna be number one. And for Lawson here now, it's basically set in stone that he's gonna be winning this race. Unless, of course, he crashes out or we have a safety car. Or, again, we have incidents that kind of shake things up. Red flags could still be, you know, things that change things. So we'll have to see. Tsunoda, again, is going to have a ton of work cut out ahead of him. And we'll try our best here to, you know, get back up the field. Tsunoda's done a pretty decent recovery drive so far. He's up into, as you can see, 9th. He's still a bit behind Verstappen, about 15 seconds. But we're getting close to the first pit stop. We're going to be taking him in right now. He's going to be coming out basically last as a result. But we can't really wait much longer to get this pit stop done. He's been doing fairly well so far, of course. And for Lawson, we're probably going to be stretching him, I say, 2 more laps here to before we do pit him. He does have a gap to Verstappen. They too are going to have to pit sometime soon. So we do have some options here to play with. Tsunoda comes out in 14th. Except for Gasly, everyone else ahead are going to have to pit at one point. So Tsunoda now should have some free reign to try and make something happen. And I think that for Lawson, we're going to be pitting him this lap. Others have also started pitting right now. As you can see, we've had Gio, Piastri, Sainz, Stroll, Sargent and De Vries all pit. So within the next few laps, I think we're going to be seeing a lot more pitting from, you know, different cars here. And Lawson actually comes out between the Red Bulls, so he too has had a very decent pit stop. Tsunoda now up into 12th, means that we have, you know, potential here to play with. Tsunoda now is gaining on Leclerc and Verstappen drastically, just 24 seconds behind. And as you can see at lap times, 42.8 versus 45.2s, 44s. So within just a few more laps here, Tsunoda can potentially jump them during the pit stops. So we'll see exactly how that plays out. We had Magnus here now, pit onto fresh tires, so we're going to need to have Tsunoda kind of push everything that he has in order to try and get close enough to make, you know, a bit of a difference. But with Lawson now running out ahead of Verstappen, again, a pit stop ahead, I think we are fairly safe. Verstappen does now finally pit. Let's see where Tsunoda comes out. Probably right behind him. Well, not right behind him, a little bit further behind. But this is not a bad recovery so far. We are, of course, going to be pitting once more. So we'll have to see where we're at after our final pit stop for Tsunoda. Although at this point, we might even also pit Lawson if he gets a, you know, big enough gap to the rest of the field. So we'll see exactly how we end up doing things towards the end. Leclerc pits now too. Comes out basically with ahead of Verstappen, I think. Yeah, and he might hold him up because they're colder tires. But we'll definitely be trying our best here to get into a higher finishing position with Tsunoda. Lawson has had a bit of an incident here. He has crashed too, so not the best weekend for us. I would assume this might be the rear wing gone bye-bye.
Oh, that'll be a costly crash as the car makes contact with the wall.
That might be his entire car gone bye-bye. He's still running. Major front wing, minor chassis, minor suspension. He does have a bit of a gap here, so it's not horrible. But at the same time, that's not great, let's be honest. So that means that we are going to have to put him onto a new strategy. If we put him on the softs, he should be able to run that till the end, I would think. Just about. So I think that the better bet here is to just put him on the mediums. So we're going to do just that. We're going to get him in, we're going to put him on the mediums, and we should be lucky, honestly, that he's still running. In theory, he's going to come out second, but this hasn't updated yet, so it was about 20 seconds before the crash. It should be way less now. Yeah, 13, 12, and, well, because of damage, he's also running slower, so it's probably going to be 10 seconds by the time he gets into the box. Tsunoda's up into 5th, so looking good on that end. But again, Tsunoda too needs to pit once more. Can't keep him out since we've done 2 sets of mediums. So we'll see exactly how this goes. Lawson comes out in 6th. Again, nothing we really can do with that. It's a crash. They happen. We've been kind of blessed so far this season, but this race weekend really has had it out for us with Tsunoda having a couple of lockups and Lawson just straight up crashing. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting end here to this race for sure. I'm a little bit unsure here when we want to go on to the final soft stint, but I'm thinking it won't be long now. Probably going to do it by the time we actually get caught up with Verstappen. Honestly, probably should do it next lap, I'm thinking. So we'll be pitting then. It's going to put us pretty far down the grid again. So honestly, it's not great, but it's just what we're going to have to do. I did pick the wrong strategy here. It's either that or we stay out and hope for a safety car. Those are the only 2 options that we have. Or, you know, a virtual safety car. Either or. But we're going to be pitting onto softs here. They're going to be slightly quicker, but not really quick enough to make up for the pit stop, unfortunately. So we'll have to see exactly where Tsunoda gets out. But this is not going to be, you know, a great thing for us. Probably going to come out in 9th there. Lawson up in 5th now, still fighting show. The fact that he is fighting show is kind of, you know, worrisome. And it's worrisome for several reasons, apparently, because he crashed with them. Doesn't look like he suffered any damage, though, this time around.
So let's take a look at the replay. It has to be said, that was pretty risky.
Lawson touches his red tie, basically, or, you know, show drifts wide, one of the 2. Lawson, yeah, basically gets the penalty there. And then... What is this clown show?
Something's gone on there.
What is this clown show?
Here we are down at turn 7. Now there's an inviting opportunity there. And oh, that's obviously far from intentional, but there was contact. And they'll have to pick themselves up after that.
Rejoins the track safely. Okay, so yeah, that is that's basically, I think, Lawson needing another bit of show and stroll both out.
Okay.
Did Lawson wreck it from wing? Minor damage. I guess we just get him in here, we replace that, or we just gamble and keep him out. What is actually the gaps here? So if we pit him, he's gonna be pretty far back. He's still gonna have his time penalties here of you know, whatever it is. So we're just gonna have to pit him and try and work our way up from the back. I don't think we really have any other options here. That's the thing. Because also the safety car, I could imagine some of the cars in front of us pitting. So we'll see exactly how that too works out. Leclerc pits, Verstappen keeps going. Gasly pits. Are we going to see any of the others pitting here? We're actually not going to come out ahead of Gasly. So even if they did pit, but we didn't beat them out. So just 2 cars there. Where exactly is Lawson going to end up coming out though? 14. So he still has chances of points here. But this has been an absolute disaster class from us. Honestly. Did they update the game before today? Did I not pay attention? Okay. This makes the end of this race a lot more interesting for sure. But yeah, this is an interesting one. Pretty sure Tsunoda's already on high overtake aggression. I should do it for Lawson too, just gamble all out here, so let's do it. But yeah, this does give Tsunoda a chance to kind of retain his perfect runs in the race at least, but even then it's a bit of a yikes moment there, honestly. Now, the fact that Leclerc pitted onto all the softs, so his softs are worse than us, even though he pitted later. Gasly went to medium. So, 7 laps.
Safety car in this lap.
Some opportunities here to, again, potentially nab the win, particularly with Verstappen running first with old mediums. If they hold up the cars properly, we still have some chance. Is Tsunoda driving clean air? Yeah, of course. Of course he is. Put him on there because he was stuck behind a car with a puncture earlier. Lost about 3 seconds. Okay, let's see if we can have a good restart here. Nothing major so far. Russell already falling back almost a second. That's always great. Lawson here. We'll have to see if he, again, can fight his way up into the points. I think he should be able to, except for Sainz and Piastri and most cars on weaker tyres. But it's probably going to take, again, a lap or 2 before we can really start making some inroads. Because, well, the AI will be pushing as well. Oh, never mind. Tsunoda just decides that he has had enough. He's gonna make this. He's gonna make this happen. Peak confidence now with the restart. Also, no luck so far, but one more lap and then we should get DRS. 4 laps with DRS might be just about enough for us to get something done. Although Tsunoda is once again kind of sending it on the Merc. Gets it done. 4 more cars to go. Magnussen has a bit of a DRS gap. So, still possible, but it's going to decide basically on how quickly we overtake the 2 cars in front. Lawson's still running in 14th. I think we're just going to have to, yeah, gamble on him being high on the aggression. We've already done that. Tsunoda is ready to send it by the looks of it. Couldn't get it done though. And since we now have DRS, I think we should be able to get Magnussen, unless that Alpine is terribly slow. And kind of ends up blocking us here. Yellow flag. Safety car deployed. That's the end of this push, I think.
Now we've got an incident here.
Russell
As I
crashed out.
understand it, George Russell's involved. Now here, we're taking turn 6.
Touched the walls. Unfortunately, did not survive like his teammate. So yeah, that is probably the end of this race with the safety car. I don't think it's going to be going back underway. Just 3 laps to go. So if it isn't us, it's someone else.
Keep following the reference.
And yeah, this is probably the worst race of the season. And this is the one where we put in some sponsor obligations. Yellow flag there under safety car. Okay. What do they look like at least? Unless it goes in this lap, we're not going to get any racing. We are going to get a little bit of racing.
Safety car in this lap. You know what to do now.
Okay.
Copy.
Let's just watch this final lap, see if we can make up any more, places. I doubt it, honestly, but we can always hope. And yeah, this is basically the worst race weekend we've had this year, where everything has kind of gone wrong. Okay. Not the best restart for us, but I think with Magnussen being on rather old mediums, we should be able to get him fairly easily here. I would think. Although he is defending aggressively there. He might actually be on always defend with how much time he's lost already. I think we might try the driving clean air here and see if that actually helps in just getting by him. Because he is intolerably slow, and it did actually help. Yeah, if you get someone who's defending very aggressively, apparently that's the way to go. Gasly, though, got himself up into second. If he had one more lap, he might have actually gone Leclerc as well.
Check the flag, Yuki. Check the flag.
But yeah, that was a disaster class for sure. We end up finishing 4th, and we do not get fastest lap either, so definitely the streak is gone. Same with Lawson, 13th. We're going to have a look at exactly how much, hardware we destroyed. Leclerc wins, Verstappen 3rd, Gasly with a surprising 2nd place. Then we have both Mercs, Giovinazzi, Italian Jesus scoring points in the other Alpine, Norris, Sainz, and Bottas. Driver Championship then, Verstappen overtakes Lawson, Leclerc overtakes Russell. No other change to top 10, Rick's still in there. And in the Constructors now, we only get 22 points this race, which I believe theoretically makes it very, very difficult, if not impossible, for us to, score 1,000 points. Lawson with the quickest pit pair of 1.835, the 10th quickest is 1.919. It has been a change in this, though. I'm just saying it here too, where at the end of the year you're going to be losing more points. So, well, this season might be a little bit, hilarious in terms of the times. They'll be looking a little bit better next season. Haven't actually played enough to see if it's a change that's going to really affect it yet. But they made it so you lose way more pit performance at the end of the year. And you also gain a little bit more, I believe, fatigue now when you train your pit crew. But it's not perfectly reflected on your calendar. So just be a little bit careful when you set up your pit crew training that you leave, I'd say 5 to 6%, maybe even 10% on Thursday before race weekend in terms of fatigue, just so you don't hit that 50% going into, Sunday. Fastest Pit Stop Award, we're probably going to be winning that one handily this year as well, and we can be happy with that. But yeah, Lawson here had 2 wing changes, basically lost a lot of time during the stops, nothing really can do with that. But yeah, this was not a good race weekend. We did not get fastest lap. We failed the finish position streak. So, it stings. Let's put it like that. But there's nothing we can do with it. Again, just happens sometimes when both drivers have incidents. But we have a lot of things going on here right now. We'll go through them in the calendar later. Mid-season board review. They're very happy with our long-term objective. They're very happy with our current performance. Can't complain there. Get a little bit extra money. But let's go through all of these again and see what happened. We finished the research suspension, which as you can see is a pretty sizable boost. Pretty sure that we used the safety and wind tunnel time on this research, I would assume. Sponsored VIP experience, they had a good time, so they were happy, at least I guess. Flörsch gets a podium in F3. Martin, Sportoletto, and Miney in F2. Frederick and Smith on the F3 podium. Memorabilia room upgrade has been completed. We get a little bit of extra morale. Car part inspection results. We have destroyed a chassis, a suspension, 2 front wings, and we have some failed chassis and rear wing. Chassis research has also been completed. Again, a smaller boost, but that is okay. Suspension has been manufactured. Underfloor has been manufactured, which means that we're somewhat up to, up to snuff now on the parts. Now, didn't it say 2 researches was complete? Ah, I see what's happening here. I think, at least. I believe that we had the buff to the design center. It's gone down into the yellow, which is a bit troublesome, but that also means that I forgot to use one of the slots earlier, which is even more troublesome. All things taken into consideration. So, do we want to do this to just get the engine cooling and a little bit of cornering up on this piece for next season? Potentially it would be a good idea. It's either that or we do it on another suspension maybe, just to get that brake cooling up massively. It probably wouldn't be a horrible idea because again the suspension is the one that suffered the most, and as you can see this would actually be a pretty sizable upgrade all around. So we do have a little bit of a dilemma here on how we want to handle the ATR period here. But what I'm thinking is that we might actually just put it into suspension again. But I want to have a look at the boardroom first and see where we're standing now in terms of the research. So chassis is losing 30. This one's losing 30. We're going to be losing something no matter where we go. That's the thing. Suspension is still losing a sizable amount. So I think we do one more for suspension. I think that is the best bet that we have. And then we'll focus the rest somewhere else. But yeah, research-wise, it's going to be quite rough here. Potentially, we might need to put in some engineers to speed things along. But I think this is acceptable for now. Just running the one singular project, so to speak. We're going to have more research slot opening in just a second. Let's go ahead and replace everything that has taken damage. We'll use these for now, then we can upgrade to these later. Front wings here. Then install on both cars. Let's just get 2 new ones manufactured. Rear wing, replace, and manufacture one of these. Side pods looks good. The underfloor looks good. The suspension gonna need one more, so there we are. That should be us all caught up on the damaged car parts, although it's actually missing a suspension right here. So there we go, it's sorted. Now we do have a little bit of a break now, 25 days until the Dutch Grand Prix. And in terms of the car development facilities here, the design center will be done in 14 days, then we can get, all the research back up and running. Rear wing research complete. I think we're just going to start another rear wing research, honestly. The DRS effectiveness boost there is going to be kind of important, particularly next year when we're going to have a couple of weaker drivers compared to the rest of the grid. So I think it's worth it. The underfloor, we're going to research that, put in some more research there too, of course. It's, generally a good idea. Gives good boost to everything. Should probably put a safety period in here too, but as you can see, it's still about 60%. Should be at least. Rear wing and something else. I would assume that's one of the front wings have been manufactured. There we go. They've now been completely caught up. Suspension has been caught up. And facility upgrade should be coming in fairly soon. But before that, we have the monthly turnover, so to speak. So car's still looking good. We're lacking a little bit in dirty air, but that's okay. Financial report, high confidence, nothing out of the ordinary there. Lawson gets a point in smoothness and defending. Adaptability for Tsunoda. For Contreras, 2 points of adaptability and 2 points of accuracy. Probably not the best. Yeah, we want that braking, that cornering ability, and we're just not getting it. Yeah, I don't think there was something better we can put her on, to be honest. Right now, because that braking needs to come up to be even close to competitive next season. Okay, let's see what we can do with our pit crew. They're going to be tired and weary, so we're going to do this. Just to be on the safe side. There's no need to push our crew here, because our crew is already maxed, because we started the season before the change recently. So as long as we can make sure that just tied for the race weekends like this, 30%, we are fine. And we don't really care how the pit crew is set up because of that. Because as I said, it's already maxed. No matter how much training or how little training we do, it's not going to change how well they perform. Facility upgrade complete. The science center has now reached level 4, which means that we should have more research slots again because of the event that we took. We could just go ahead and max the center here right away. It'll take 134 days, and since we're in August, we have September, October, November, December. Basically, it's going to take around that time to max it. It's going to cost 32 million, so it would probably be better to max the suspension sim. But let's be honest, we don't have anything in particular we're going to be spending money on going forward, so to give us that little bit extra boost next year, we could just do this. It'll give us more engineers. It also gives that small boost on this, and it'll be done just about in time for basically a couple of weeks before Christmas. So if you want to do this, we'd have to start it right now. And as I said, we still are probably going to be able to max the suspension sim as well. So let's go ahead and just do that. And again, the main choice why I'm doing this is because we should be able to, with the money that we have, to max the suspension sim as well before we end this year, so to speak. Now, as I said, because of the time that it's back, we do get the slots back here. So we're going to start a sidepod research. And we're going to start a chassis research. Now, because they degraded, I believe we lost these researchers at one point, so we did lose a little bit of money. But I do want to have a look here and see in terms of the inbox. Can I see? I'm trying to find the one when it actually started. I don't think I'm going to. It's basically if I want to put engineers on those two projects to see if we maybe we'll be able to do 2 more. So I think we can do that. Let's just put engineers on this one, and we'll see if we can actually speed up those projects. We're also going to hire more engineers. Because we can hire 22 right now, so let's just go ahead and do that. They don't cost enough where it's actually a concern, as you can see. So I am fine with that. So let's put 1 more engineer on this project. Let us put more engineers on the sidepod project. And let us put more engineers on the next front wing project and just see if that helps us out here. Front wing has been completed. And gives us a pretty sizable boost, about 4 to 5%. We'll take that. And we're going to go ahead and just start another front wing project. As I said, we're probably not going to be able to get this one done within the time period of the boost, but we're still just going to put 6 engineers on it. And apparently I finally unlocked the many hands make light work, which is have 18 engineers working on projects simultaneously. So haven't really power used engineers up until this point. The chassis are in low stock, but this is not a concern because we have an 84 version. So we're fine there. We're just gonna say no to the board at the race. It's no, it won't actually change anything. The Science Center improvement has run its course. We're back to our usual capacity. We'll still keep our projects though, so what I think I'm doing then is doing this. Let's see, does that get rid of the project? It does not, so we can now just allow these projects to run their full course, which will give us more expertise. It'll give us less daily expertise, but because we have 6 projects running, this will actually end up giving us more expertise as a result. Once you know, the projects run their course, we can actually start, say, power leveling, chassis, and maybe the side pods. You know, have one research slot where we power level the chassis and the side pods, and the rest is going to be focused on the other 5 items, so to speak. Or we might even just completely ignore the chassis. We'll see what we end up with there. Race prep, Dutch Grand Prix. Let's say 1 driver top 3. Again, we finished 4th last time, but again, that was because both drivers had a horrible race, let's be honest. That was not a good time for any of us. And both drivers in Q2 and Q3 should not be a issue at all. It should be fairly simple to get completed. So with that, let's go to Sandboard, see if we can, you know, regain a little bit of our pride there, because it was completely shattered last time around. A much better showing here at Sandboard with 1st and 3rd place for the starting grid, which should basically put us in a very, you know, simple position, which should make this race a lot more calmer than the previous one, unless, of course, we have some more incidents that affect our team. What we can expect here in terms of the tire wear is pretty simple. The softs are about 5 times quicker than the mediums, but the gradation is fairly high there, 300s, but even so, softs then are quicker for about 16-17 laps. It's still one of the longer, you know, many laps are needed here. It's a total of 72 laps, so basically tires aren't any better than they were at, say, last race up in Belgium. You're going to have a very strong early stint, of course, on these tires. But the softs won't really do too much because you're going to have to do several pit stops. Soft, medium, soft is still probably one of the better strategies, though. Because as you can see here, mediums to hard is about 2700s or 2.7 tenths. And the gradation is just 100 a lap, so 27 laps on them as well. So what's going to decide what we use here is basically degradation, and if we can run them aggressively. Pit stops here are still bugged with 0 seconds, as you can see, but if we check here, you can see about 19 seconds. So nothing major, nothing massive. So the strategy is, as I said, going to be dependent on degradation. Degradation is quite high here, as you can see. So potentially as a result, starting on a harder compound, going on to the medium, and then finishing on the softs are viable, but it won't be, you know, very quick, as you can see. Not really any faster than the original strategy there. But we can save a little bit of time doing this, and of course we can try and go a bit more aggressive on the stints. As a result, to try and kind of make up for that loss, it's going to be a tad quicker. But most likely, aggressive medium to normal soft seems to be potentially the fastest strategy here. Although in this case, they are equal right here. So it'll depend on what happened during the race itself, mainly what the strategy is going to be. Now we could go for an incredibly aggressive strategy, which say, do we have 3 fresh softs? We do. Say something like this, which would be incredibly aggressive, and then say finish on the hards. I don't think even the hards are going to be able to bring us to the end there on full attack. They won't, as you can see. So even this isn't completely viable, but if we tune them up a little bit to just aggressive, then this becomes a little bit more viable, but at the same time, as you can see, it's not a lot quicker than anything else. And again, the main concern by running a strategy like this is going to be that we're going to be coming out behind other cars that are going to slow us down. So it's kind of a difficult one to really pick what is the best strategy. If we're going to do this one, however, we are going to be flicking it around, that we start on the hards. We might actually put in a medium stint here. Sorry about that. Medium stint on full attack. and then do 2 aggressive soft stints to kind of make up for that. But as you can see, even that isn't completely working, so this could work. It's going to be an even more aggressive strategy where we go from hard to medium, both full attack, into 2 softs. And as you can see, it's about 8 seconds quicker than any other strategy out there. So we might try this. It's going to be an interesting one for sure, but a bit of a different one, if you will. And I believe Tsunoda has 2 sets of hards here, so we can do something a bit more interesting for him by, say, doing something like this. I think they should just about be enough life in the tires for that. Almost. So we could potentially try something like this. Tsunoda usually has pretty good degradation. It's going to be a 29-21 versus a 29-16, so it's still slower, potentially. What if we, say, do something like this, 22-44, and we do another soft stint? It has potential. It also makes it a bit easier for Tsunoda here towards the end. But it's still slower than Lawson's strategy. So, if anything, I really would like them to switch this over where I could run 2 hards on Lawson because he has, you know, high deg. But at the same time, he doesn't have the tires for that. So, I think if we put them on these 2 different strategies, see how they do. Tsunoda should, over the course of this race, catch those 4 seconds. We've seen that before. So, I'm not too concerned. The low degradation is going to help him for sure here as well. He also starts with high confidence because he has better relations with the engineer. So I think we'll do this. It's a bit of a weird one because, again, Sandwood is very high deg. There's usually some incidents on the first corner. So we'll use this as a baseline. We'll just go full attack on that hard stint, and then we'll see if we can make this work or if we need to, you know, adapt our strategy. Adapt our strategy as we go.
The drivers are ready, and the crowds are waiting. It's the Dutch Grand Prix. And it's lights out, and away we
Looks
go.
like an alright start there for Tsunoda, which is important here, because we do want him to stay ahead of the Red Bull. Same here for Lawson, just a decent start, which is the most important fact. And I believe we are the only team on hards. There's some on older softs, as you can see, even Schumacher back here. Verstappen too is on older softs, so that he's gonna struggle as a result.
We're happy to stay where we are. Okay.
But this is a very good start here, where we have retained our positions. We haven't lost out due to having harder tires. They'll be up to temperature by the end of the first lap. And we need to really push these if you want to overheat them here. They need to go up to 140 degrees. And the track isn't very hot here. There's some sun. But I don't think we'll be able to push them over 130, in my honest opinion. So, tire-wise, we should be perfectly fine here. We have retained over the course of the first lap. There's some gaps forming here. We'll have to see if Verstappen can stay with Tsunoda. He's probably going to do so for around, I'd say, 10 or so laps maybe. And then he'll start falling behind as those softs really start to wear out. Remember the softs here versus the hards are, in theory, almost 8 tenths quicker. But with the degradation within 20 laps, they'll be equal. But yeah, because we can run a more aggressive strategy, we should still have a pretty significant tire advantage in the long run, which is what we're going to be aiming for here. For now, though, we have reached kind of stability here. Lawson running third. Tsunoda is kind of pulling Verstappen with him. So we'll have to see out in a couple of laps if we recharge, allow Verstappen to maybe pull us along, or what we do. But for now, we'll just allow things to run as they are. And once we reach around lap 20, barring any incidents, of course, we'll see where we stand and make adjustments to our strategy. The first pit stops are happening now, with Bottas pitting just now. But as you can see from Tsunoda, degradation is, you know, nothing like we expected. Same here for Lawson, actually. He has less degradation than expected, although very minor compared to Tsunoda's. But the decision now lies in what do we want to do with Tsunoda. So what I'm thinking here is that we're going to be doing another hard stint, of course. But the degradation is probably more reminiscent of, you know, this type of degradation, which makes me very tempted to switch him over to a potential just two-stop strategy like this. It's still going to be very, very effective, mainly because, well, in our case now, we have some gaps that we have formed. As you can see, we have 10 seconds down to Lawson. Verstappen does now pit. Russell will have to pit fairly soon too. But Tsunoda is creating gaps that he can exploit, and generally here with the degradation that he has being so much lower than Lawson's, we could potentially, as I said, switch him over to, you know, a two-stop strategy, which would be probably more beneficial in the long run. Lawson here, the reason why he has no energy is mainly because I've been working with trying to get him away from Russell and Verstappen, not been successful at all with that strategy. But we are seeing people like Magnussen here start hitting lower percentages, so while it might be a tad early here, we're going to get Lawson in, put him on the medium. It's going to fall back pretty far down, but so are basically everyone that is going to pit. And the goal here is incredibly simple. We want to get him in a couple laps before everyone else so that he can undercut, potentially, once everyone else pits, and hopefully not suffer too much as a result. He is going to come up behind Verstappen. Verstappen did pit earlier, so that's not really a surprise. But as I said, Tsunoda had about 10 seconds to Verstappen before he pitted his first pit stop, and right now, timing-wise, it's not really a concern for us at all. Lawson can also still run this medium stint full attack, so yeah. Tsunoda is perfectly fine just running as he is right now. When he does pit, it's potentially going to beat Gasly out, so as long as we're paying attention to when these medium runners pit, we should be good. Verstappen has gone on to another set of softs. So honestly, it's looking very good. We're going to keep Tsunoda out probably for a couple more laps here. Last lap 13.7. Again, they're still just getting half a second to a second. So with the gap that we had, 10 laps is very viable. But I think around 40% on these tires, we'll be getting him in and pitting him. He is going to have to overtake Russell, but as you can see, the gaps here to the medium runners is perfectly fine at this stage, so I think we're just going to put him onto the new set of hards, which wouldn't be a bad idea. Degradation is so much lower, though, that if we want to, we'll pit him here, and then probably around here, we'll pit him onto a medium stint till the end. But, yeah, degradation has been incredibly low here for Tsunoda, as you can see. Which makes my job a lot easier. He might actually beat Russell out there in the corner, we'll see. Just about didn't, but that shouldn't be a problem. Tsunoda has fresh tires. Once these are up to temperature, he should just fly by, so yeah, not actually a concern. Verstappen up in third, though, kind of is, because that makes it harder for Lawson to follow, but Verstappen is on soft tires. He is going to have to at least pit once more, probably onto the hards, and Russell actually pits right now and gets out of the way of Tsunoda, so we'll try and allow Lawson here to hunt. These mediums go to 135, so again, overheating is not a concern right now, and we'll see if we can have Lawson hunt down Verstappen and, you know, kind of get away from him. We'll probably recharge for a little while behind him, and then go for the overtake, and then go for creating a gap. We've had an incident involving Lawson and Verstappen. Lawson has had some minor front wing damage, but Verstappen has received the penalty. A little bit unsure what we should do here, if we should just pit him. There is a little bit of a gap here, but if we do pit him and change that front wing, it's going to come down pretty far back down. Well, pretty far down anyways. So for now, since it's just minor damage, and if we zoom in on Lawson's car, we don't actually see any parts missing, I believe.
Now we can see what happened.
Maybe a broken end plate. Yeah, broken end plate there.
And not just one car involved
Which
with that, as you can see.
Isn't horrible. We can keep going with that. We're gonna try at least.
Wait, what?
But yeah, Lawson once again involved in a bit of an incident there. Loses basically all the confidence built up. We're basically just running within the DRS window to, you know, get close and then try and overtake after the main straight. But as a result here, we couldn't really do that. Although Lawson here, I think, actually lost out on DRS. They gave the DRS away before that final corner, which is a bit of a rookie mistake, honestly. No reason not to, you know, take advantage of DRS. And there we go. We have DRS now. We're going to be using energy now to deploy and get as close to Verstappen as possible. And then we should just fly by. Kind of like this. And hopefully now Lawson has enough of a push where he can create a bit of a gap here for from Verstappen. But as you can see, it doesn't look like he really does. So might just end up having him run with Verstappen here. Doesn't really have the speed necessary to pull away, unfortunately, even on those medium tires.
Battery is on the low side.
So we'll run him a little bit more conservatively, but we'll have to see exactly if we want to change that front wing or not. Right now, he is still kind of competitive with Verstappen, but at the same time, their tires are about equal at this point, so we'll have to see what we do. I think for now, I'm edging towards just letting that front wing run till the end of the race. We'll see. We are just about ready here to pit Lawson for the second time. His tires will basically be shot after this lap, so we'll be bringing him in. We'll not be switching that front wing out, but it is what it is. Verstappen might pit this lap, or he's going to be pitting the next very soon. He's going to have to eat that penalty, going to push him down further. Sainz too, Russell, as you can see, both of them are getting into the window where they too are going to be needing to pit fairly soon. And as you can see, we actually have another crash. It's the breeze again, of course.
Okay, so we've got De Vries.
Luckily enough, he didn't, you know, assassinate us in the attempt as well. Because I'm pretty sure we saw Sonoda there in the picture. But yeah, Lawson is out, running in 6th now, second behind Stroll. And Leclerc. Both of the Stroll and older tires, Leclerc on a bit fresher. But yeah, once again, it's going to be a lot of these cars in front are going to be pitting fairly soon. Stroll actually pits just there. So we'll be trying to overtake Leclerc and running away. For Tsunoda here, unsurprisingly, we're just going to keep him running as he is for now. He's 22 seconds ahead of Russell. He basically can do whatever he wants at this stage, no problem. So we'll keep on working on Lawson, try and get him a little bit higher. Might need to, you know, work a little bit on the energy here. But we'll try and have him finish as high up as possible, hopefully the podium. Although we do now have a virtual safety car, one of the Mercedeses. And we'll see who actually opts to pit here. I would assume a lot of cars are going to. Which of course is going to take out a little bit of the advantage that, oof. That's an unfortunate one. Which is of course going to eat into the advantage that Lawson had by pitting early and trying to, you know, create the gap. Sainz pits. I would expect Gasly to pit. Anyone would really, you know, use tires at this point. But it looks like most cars have actually pitted in advance, so Sainz are getting a very, very lucky pit stop, so to speak. But this is going to help with our fuel. It's going to help with our tires to the point where I think we'll just go full attack on these as well. And we're going to allow Tsunoda to push a little bit. But yeah, as I said, the goal is of course going to be to get Lawson a little bit further up the field, which shouldn't actually be a problem.
Okay.
Once we now have the VSC ending, just give a little bit of extra push there. And it might be a silly idea to do this just before the main straight. Actually was, as it turns out, but I think we should be able to eke it out ahead of Leclerc, which means that we now are free to, well, never mind. Minor engine wear there too.
There's a yellow flag.
Yeah, Lawson is not having a very good time in this.
Now this happens down at turn 8. That's it. That's the spin. And there'll be words had after this, I'm
Well,
sure.
at least he tried to recover right away this time, which is good. But yeah, that does make Lawson's job a little bit harder. We'll have to see if we can, you know, get something out of this still in terms of hunting that podium. But it is what it is. We'll do our best there and try and get him back up into a good position. Degradation of the tires isn't actually a concern. Still think we'll be able to run these on attack. And then we can switch to another soft towards the end. Russell finally pits. Lawson is getting very close to his final pit stop. We're going to have him run one more lap here just to be on the safe side. But as you can see here, the gradation was way more aggressive than we expected, even on attack. So we'll have to see what we do with the final stint, because it's going to be difficult to run it on full attack. Sonoda also we're going to be pitting here. We'll be going for fastest lap with him. Basically, once we have pitted him, he has half a minute down to signs. So it's once again not one of those, you know, not really concerns, if you will. But it's looking good here for both cars at the moment. Well, looking good as can be for Lawson. But for Sonoda in particular, it's looking really, really good. We'll allow him to run one more lap basically to get everything in order in terms of temperatures, and then we'll go for the fastest lap attempt. Now for Lawson here, we're gonna have to just try and go attack, see if we can keep it alive. Potentially the goal here will be 5th. Don't think we'll really be able to challenge for anything higher than that. And for Sonoda now, who is getting ready to set his fastest lap, we'll just give him the full deploy, push, everything order. And we'll have a look at his lap times. Personal best, Sector 3 on the quote-unquote warm-up. Let's see how he does in Sector 1 here. Purple. Sector 2. I assume that too is going to be a fairly purple affair. And next up we have Piastri, who did not give us DRS, but we still set a fastest lap. Unfortunately, just a personal best in Sector 3. But that is acceptable. We're just going to run him standard here to be on the safe side, particularly with the instance that we have had. And we'll be focusing now on getting Lawson up to at least 5th. I don't think we can catch Verstappen. That is going to be a tad difficult. As you can see here, he's even getting re-attacked by Gasly. So potentially switching that front wing would have been the right thing to do. But Gasly is kind of rapid here. So it's kind of hard to say what would have been best, what wouldn't have been best. We are in a bit of a rough position here to decide. So
we keep an eye on the tire temperatures.
It's a hard thing to guess, really, but we can put him to high overtake aggression, though. We can do that. And we'll allow him to use a little energy as left here to try and get something done now under DRS.
Reminder on the battery. Copy.
Although there's not really much chance of recharging on this track, and with the DRS train being 3 cars deep at this point, it's going to be a little bit difficult to get overtakes done unless he does it like there, sends it, gets by Leclerc. Next up, Gio and Stroll, which honestly, I think he'll have no big problems getting here. But as I said, I don't think we have any chance of catching Verstappen. So 5th is going to be the best that we can hope for here. I'm curious though, did we beat the record? We did. Hamilton set it in 21. We beat it in, well, the game right now. Also, while I check that, Lawson did get Gio. Let's have a look again at that.
Now, this happened as they arrived at turn 12. There's the opening.
We'll take that. Pretty good. Then we just get Stroll in the straight. And with a better tyre here now, which we definitely have it with Stroll, we should just be sailing off into the sunset within a couple of laps. And I am kind of curious here now that how quickly, or rather how much are we going to be gaining now on Verstappen now that we have been set free. I think we already cut out at least 2 seconds during this previous lap, and we did. 2.3. So if he had been released, 3-4 laps earlier, maybe we could have made something happen. If it wasn't damage to the front wing, a bit of a slower engine, things like that, we still would have had some opportunities. But unfortunately, I don't think there's anything we really could have done here too differently. Potentially putting him on the 3-stop air was probably a bit of too ambitious. Tsunoda did really well with his 2-stopper, but even then, if we really wanted to, probably could have kept him going even, more aggressively. So it's a bit of a shame here for Lawson. He did have a couple of incidents which, of course, negatively affected him. But they happen. And as you can see here, if we had a few more laps here with the speed that he's currently running, potentially Verstappen 2 might have been within grasp here. Tsunoda even has an extra pit stop on number 2 here. So, been a pretty, although not the best race ever, it's an acceptable one for us for sure.
Yuki Tsunoda over the
And
line
we'll take that,
and
but,
heading right to the top of today's
this one-
podium.
Once again, races like this would have made it very difficult for us to breach the 1,000 point barrier, so I think that is now completely out of reach. But at least Tsunoda had another win with fastest lap, so we'll take that as our consolidation prize. I think that's the word. But yeah, Tsunoda wins. Then we have the Ferraris, Sainz and Russell. Then Verstappen, Lawson, Leclerc, Stroll, Gasly, Giovinazzi and Norris. Alpine once again scoring points. Once again, just the single Aston Martin in the points here. Piastri still kind of struggling, unfortunately, but it is what it is. Driver Championship then, no real changes except Gasly overtakes Ocon. Daniel Ricciardo living dangerously in top 10. Magnussen or Gio could overtake him at any point now. So yeah, bit of an interesting one. Constructors then, we do extend our lead, but as I said, getting to 1,000 points is going to be virtually impossible now. And we do have some pretty quick pit stops here as well. So yeah, we'll take that. It is what it is. We've remembered our reserve driver, so we'll take that with us as, again, a bit of a consultation prize that I kind of started remembering. But it is what it is. Sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't happen. Like, thank you for hosting the board. I thought I denied that. But I guess they of course, it won't surprise you when I say that the outcome of the race has influenced our confidence in your leadership. I said no. So yeah, this is kind of interesting for sure. Novalak, Maney and Mini, the F2 podium with Novalak winning. Car part inspection, we have destroyed our front wing again. Not a big surprise. We also had failed side pods and underfloor. Let's just go ahead and quickly replace those. And I think that what's going to happen now is that we're going to be running a race probably with damaged machinery in terms of the engines, and we're going to try and survive till the end on the engines that we have, just to make our lives a little bit easier. And I think that is going to be the play here. In terms of the side pod and the underfloor, we of course are going to be manufacturing new ones immediately. We kind of have to. And also with the ERS in particular, we are going to be buying one more of those for both drivers before the end of the season. It's just how it is. The ERS of Red Bull in particular just can't survive a full season with just 2. We're going to need 3 at a minimum. So we'll see how we deal with that. Now next up we have the Monster GP from We Manufactured. We caught up on those again. And this one is probably one of the places where we could take that ERS penalty. We'll have to see though if we want to. But again, we're just going to go very, very cautiously. Both drivers in top 10. Basically for both of these, fastest lap should be fine. We don't necessarily need a ton of money, although it would be nice to have, don't get me wrong. Now with that said, I'm going to be ending today's episode here. Unfortunately, I do have something that I need to get done before tomorrow. So that leads to it being a little bit shorter, particularly also with the mayhem in Belgium. Took a lot of time, basically, but hopefully I can try and get back to a somewhat regular daily uploading schedule. I'm trying, honestly, but the days where there aren't any uploads is basically because I either didn't have enough time to edit, I didn't get to record the full episode during the evening, but yeah, we'll see. I'll try and keep it somewhat relatable with at least something daily going forwards. Thank you for watching, hope you've enjoyed. Please like, subscribe if you haven't already, helps me out a ton, and hope to see you around next time. If there's any question or anything like that, feel free to ask in the comments and I'll respond. I do read everything, even though I don't respond to everything because, well, sometimes I read it on my phone, sometimes I forget straight up, or I want to check something before I respond to something and then forget. So if you feel your question has been ignored, feel free to ask it again, and I'll get a new notification and then I'll see it for sure and hopefully respond to it. So yeah, again, thank you for watching. Hope to see you next time. Bye bye.